Hey y'all, welcome back to Ryan and Robert Rants. Today we're going to be continuing our adventure. We have chosen to accept the mission of Impossible. So we're continuing our rank series on the Mission Impossible franchise. And today, Robert, which one will we be covering? Which
We
mission
will
have we
be
selected?
we will be covering Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It is the fifth installment in the franchise, directly coming after Ghost Protocol, which, as if you've watched our previous video, it was a pretty high-ranking movie on our list.
Yeah, as you can see below, we we definitely showed it some love.
Yep.
That's for sure. Let's see if the love will continue with Rogue Nation. So, just like we've done in the past with the previous installments, we're gonna go ahead and do a little brief summary of the movie. Then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. We'll do a what's the phrase that you like to use, Robert?
For what?
As far as breaking it down goes,
Like
beat
the
by
synopsis?
beat.
Beat by beat. There we go.
Beat by
Yeah.
beat. Yeah, so we'll be doing a beat by beat on the story, and yeah, so we're just gonna have fun with it, just like we have in the previous installments. If you haven't seen Rogue Nation, go ahead and go watch it, come back, continue on, or if you're okay with spoilers, you have been warned because we are going to get heavy into spoilers. So let's go ahead and get started. So, Rogue Nation. I guess the best way to describe this movie is, like you said, it's a continuation from the fourth one.
Yep.
So at the end of part four, Ghost Protocol, as Ethan's walking away into the darkness onto his next adventure, um, they talk about the Syndicate. So for Rogue Nation, it goes a little bit more in depth of what the Syndicate is. And in this one, it's definitely a departure from the previous entries, but it I feel like this is when it really comes into its own,
Mhm.
where it really develops like its own identity of what this franchise is going to be moving forward. So, I like to start at the beginning with this one. I just want to give a little preface, like I have previously. So Robert and I have a really interesting history with seeing this movie. So we got the chance to see an early screening for this. Funny thing about it though is they kept having issues with the movie throughout, and towards the end we watched the ending. What was it, like two or three
Truth,
times?
yeah. Yeah, because it
Yeah,
cuts off like right when you get to the end, it's Lane is chasing Ethan and it kind of cuts off right there. And then I think we had to sit and wait. And then they like fixed it, but they like rewind it. I guess they had it rewind like too far. So it was kind of a mess. I mean, it was hilarious. And I think at some point, I think they wanted to the lights came on and they wanted everyone to leave. And everybody was just like, no, like just we'll wait, fix it. We want to watch the end of this movie.
yeah. Because I mean, we were already sitting down for. I mean, like you said, we're at the end of the movie, and we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, just roll it back, and then wasn't it like literally in the middle of the movie that they rewind when they went too far?
Yeah. And
Like it
they
was
put it
like in
on
the
the
middle.
big, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were like, hey, just let it roll.
Hey, we'll watch it from here. It's fine.
Yeah, so we saw it like 2.5 times in theaters in one sitting,
Yeah,
technically.
pretty much.
But yeah, I mean, so I mean, it definitely has. We spent a lot of time going to the movies together over the years, watching a lot of movies, and that's definitely one of the fondest
Yeah.
memories. Definitely one of the more memorable ones. But I mean, that just tells you what this franchise means to us. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to preface with that. So Rogue Nation basically details Ethan tracking down the Syndicate, and this movie definitely takes some turns. Um, so just to jump straight into it, starting with the opening, we get our Paramount logo. Welcome China Movie Channel Productions. That one was a little unexpected, and
Got to get that
Alibaba
overseas money.
Pictures.
You got to get that
Yeah.
overseas money. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. We're going global. And
Yep.
Alibaba Pictures all before Bad Robot. Bad Robot gets the hammer right at the end, which all honesty, I feel like JJ is pretty much gone by this point.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
so
because
too.
you
I think
don't
it's
really
just
feel.
name
What was it?
only. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
name
because
only. Yeah.
you don't really feel his style or anything like that
Mm-mm.
in this movie anywhere at all. And I will say at the beginning when it starts, after we're done with the production company, we open on the field. And this is when I started to notice something about the movies. When it says Minsk, Belarus, it's the same font that they used in Civil War, right? When they do the cities, like it's a certain
It's very
type of
possible.
font
It's very
that they,
possible. I don't think I paid
yeah,
that much attention to it, but it's. I know Civil War definitely had its own specific font. It was just kind of like a plain, just it was more like in your face, like boom, this is Cleveland or whatever it was.
yeah, to where it took up the whole screen.
Yeah,
But that same font size, that
I
not
believe
not
so.
the
Like the
not
style,
size,
yeah,
but that's yeah, that same style is used in here as well. And I feel like that was the thing around this time is they were trying to find like, oh, someone found that one style and they were like, okay, let's use it for like every action
everything,
movie
yeah,
that comes out for like the foreseeable future. But the opening plane sequence,
yeah,
like hands down amazing.
yeah,
My biggest gripe with it though, I do have a gripe with that sequence. And it's the only thing I think that hurts it, but it keeps it from being like the perfect opening sequence. And it's when the doors opened and he flies in. His body
yeah,
looks so janky.
yeah.
Like when it does, it looks like someone cut it out in Photoshop and dragged it across the screen. Like aside from that, like it's I mean, they shot it
Yeah,
in
like
real
the
life.
yeah, yeah. Like I saw the making of that scene, and it was they had like some contraption that he was wearing that was like also like the door kind of shut him, so he basically was just pretty much essentially glued to the plane because it was like inside the plane, and it was like he was you know attached to it. So like outside of anything happening, like there was no way he was going to end up being detached from this plane. And they
Yeah.
created like a specific camera that was like wind resistant and all that stuff that and they mounted it like on the wing so we can get that shot. And it's such a great shot of when it's looking at him down as the plane is taking off from the ground, so it kind of just gives you that depth perception. It's just like I don't know if you ever been on a plane. Like I like sitting on the window seat and I'm always looking out and just watching the ground just leave and the cars becoming like ants smaller than ant size, and it's just always it kind of puts things in perspective a little bit.
It really does. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I couldn't have explained it better than you just did right now. Like that's the best way to describe that sense of that feeling, especially in IMAX or like on a big
yes,
screen, like you really feel it. And I also like now that you mentioned that he also wore like special contacts too
hmm
that so that way he was able to like actually like look in and he wasn't like like that, which I mean it's just a really great scene. But like I said, that was my gripe. And then we get Alexi from Stranger Things. We get a little cameo
oh
from
yeah,
him, but
yep.
unfortunately in the next scene we find out he was killed along with the rest of the
Yeah.
crew.
Well, what were they? They
um
were. I can't remember what nationality they were, but yeah, they were like. I think they made like a comment that there was like, there's no way these guys could have like like pulled off this heist like by themselves. Like
yeah,
it was like so it gives that added layer that these guys are part of a much larger organization, because there's no way
yeah,
these guys would be smart enough to do whatever it is. And I do know that this plane sequence was the director said that he got the idea for the from the Uncharted 3 game.
that's pretty cool. And it makes
Yeah.
sense too with the way that he like
Yep.
holds onto it right before he like ejects it out from the
Yeah.
plane.
And I love
Like
those games.
yeah, dude. Oh, Uncharted 2. That's my
hmm
game, dude.
Yep.
Oh, that's my game. I will say decent opening title sequence.
Yeah.
Like I like it. It's different, but it's the same or as
Same
far
but
as like in the
different.
spirit. You know what? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it feels clean
hmm
the way that it is. That London shot, man. That London shot,
I'm telling you,
it
this
looks
is
so clean and crisp.
it's when
Like
like this
the
is like
cinematography is on
exactly.
point in this
Yep.
movie.
This is
I
like
will say, as far, this is the best looking one.
100%. Because again, this is the time when the like I said, the cities start to become part of the characters, part of the movie. It's not just a
Yeah.
location. It's you're living in like it's like you're there. Like you have a front row
Yeah.
seat. And it's again, it's how it's shot. And it's just so beautifully shot.
It's now that you say that, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of literally like older movies when you see them and you look at it now and like, oh, this scene was shot here in this location or was
Mhm.
shot there, you know, that majesty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's that like that
Yeah,
one, it's that thing that makes you love movies, you know what I mean, where it's like, oh
yeah.
my god, like that's where it happened, like that's where it
Mhm.
happened. It's that same feeling where, like you said, they become a character, they're lived in, they're real.
Yep.
Most important thing. And then, this is when we get Ethan walking into the music shop. They're
Yep.
talking in code, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
But I like, he gets that press and he's walking in and she's just like, it really is you. It's like, yeah,
Right.
the legend.
Right. The myth, the man, the myth, the legend. But if you've noticed, in the back of that shop, Solomon Lane is sitting in like a booth.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I so and I mean I've seen this movie quite a few times, and it wasn't until the most recent one. It's like it's right when he walks in, and if you look all the way in the back, he is sitting in the booth. Like
Oh,
you could
dang.
tell it's his side profile.
Oh, dude, I need to go back. I need to go back again and watch it.
Yeah,
But yeah, and the same, like I've seen this movie so many times that I've never noticed that before. But yeah, he goes into the booth, he puts the record on, and it's, IMF doing their whole thing, and then they talk about the plane and that it was carrying a VX nerve gas,
nerve
and
gas.
immediately I'm like, The Rock,
Yeah. Right.
because I can't hear VX nerve gas without thinking about that amazing god tier movie, which we will eventually cover. So, as we were just talking, Solomon Lane, welcome to the franchise, Sean Harris,
Yes.
dude, and he makes his entrance. That's a
Oh
ruthless
man.
kill. Like he has
Yes.
his gun to the girl, and when you realize, the record is actually been hijacked, it's actually the Syndicate
Yep.
that is trapping him in there. It's like, we got you. He can't get out of the booth, and they gas him. But right before they do, you see Solomon Lane standing there, and he
Yeah.
just one shots the record shop girl,
I would
I
say
which is
that's probably
interesting
like
that it's sort of like the I, she's sort of like the driving reason, I think, why Ethan does what he does, but they never outright say it.
yeah.
You know what I
It's like
mean?
yeah, and like honestly, she's like what maybe in passing she gets named or not named, but like mentioned one more time and throughout the whole movie, and it's just like no, like this guy just killed like an innocent person, or I mean, she was an agent of as well, but I mean, Ethan's been tracking the syndicate for so long, but it wasn't until like this one moment's like, nope, this now I'm for sure gonna be hunting you.
Yeah, it's like this was the line.
Yeah,
Like
not
this
the
was the
not
line.
the plane crash that killed 220 people or whatever it was, or
Yeah.
you know,
I,
like
I
this one
will
right here.
say I will say I don't like that the credits play during this scene because it does rob the scene of its suspense.
Hmm.
Because you still see like written and directed by, produced by, and I'm like, no, 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 like just let
That
that
should be
play
all be
afterwards.
done when
Yeah.
yeah, that should all be done when
Like
the
I didn't
opening
mind it when they're
montage.
doing the shot, like initially the swoop over London and stuff like
Yeah,
that at the beginning, and it's popping up. But I think it's like you either get it done right then and there, or you let it continue into the next scene, because that scene, it just needs to sit, like, when he's like hitting the
yeah,
glass and it just pans and it just holds that shot and it's still saying written and directed. I'm like, no, 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 like
just yeah.
don't do that. But it does head into the next great scene where we're introduced to Mr. Alec Baldwin as CIA Director Alan Hunley. And Dude, I wrote down like almost all of his lines that stuck out to me. Chris McHugh did so great with writing this character. Like
Yeah,
it's I don't know if if he had Baldwin in mind
had to have.
or
This
like
is
because
such
like
an
he
Alec
gives him
Baldwin
dude
role.
exactly like the lines, what he says, the way he delivers them.
Yeah.
It's like only Alec Baldwin could deliver these lines. The
Yes.
first line he says, "The IMF's misadventures date back to my earliest days at the CIA, when the IMF broke into the CIA to steal a list of covert operatives." Which I thought was really I wrote it down for that reason too because it sounded cool, but it also shows that, he's been there since
Yeah.
the beginning. It's like they're showing like establishing him as a character. And then Jeremy Renner's Brant, of course,
Just
welcome back, countering
yep.
back and forth with everything that's thrown to Shane, the IMF. I can neither confirm nor deny any details of
I
any
remember when that
operation.
was playing in the theater and we were just all laughing and just he just kept going and going. It's like he would he would he would say that and then when it comes to an actual time to like fire back, he had like things lined up. It's like, no, but the IMF did this, like, we shut the bomb down in San Francisco, and all this other stuff. And then when Alec
Yeah.
Baldwin comes back and then he's just like, oh, I can neither confirm nor deny. It just
Yeah.
happens again.
It's one of those ones that just keeps giving.
Yeah.
And then like you said, he recaps the previous centuries. No mention of 2 or 3 though.
No.
No mention of 2 or 3. And then, from there we after they finish doing that, then we cut to the scene where Ethan wakes up and he's like chained up to this pole,
Yep.
shirtless. He's all jacked up too and
Yeah.
whatnot. And then into the screen, Rebecca Ferguson
Yes.
as Ilsa Faust. She's
Ilsa
such a great
Faust.
addition to the franchise,
Yes,
man.
she was definitely a great like breath of fresh air too. Like nothing against the
Yeah,
previous women, but I think with her introduction, she's probably one of the more complex characters in this whole franchise, and she just adds like the perfect like opposite, but at the same time the exact same as Ethan Hunt. They're like two sides of the
yeah,
same coin, but they're also the same side of the same coin. It's a very weird like what we should call like a dichotomy between the two characters, and that's why they fit so well.
yeah, and it's because, like you said, I think a good way to describe it would be like the ultimate counterpart,
Hmm.
like the English version of Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, like she's not Julia. Like Julia wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to
no,
handle it. Ilsa can. Like she knows the
yeah,
life.
exactly. And I love how they bring her in. Like they hold off on showing her face; they just show her setting up real slow, and then when they reveal, um, which I'm gonna talk about something a little later, but it will tie into this opening scene. Like I'm gonna bring this opening scene back up later on. But she's brought in to interrogate him. She's lining up the stuff. She puts the shoes on the table, and this is when we're also introduced to the Bone Doctor. Correct?
Yes. Yes, I believe that's what he was called. Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes in, and she's like, I'm here to interrogate him, and he's like, no, like I have my ways and my methods of doing it. And I feel like this is where she kind of screws up, where she gets the key and she throws it to him, but the guy sees.
The Bone Doctor, right?
I
Because
don't know if it's the other guy because there's like a
because
couple of other guys in there. It's like his
yeah,
henchman sees her throw.
yeah, but I think so when all the chaos ensues, Ethan does make comment that they end up killing everybody in the room except the Bone Doctor, and I think wasn't he already knocked out because I think he got
Hmm.
pushed, he got kicked and his head hit his head on a rock.
Yeah,
And then I know Ethan makes a comment. Yeah, Ethan makes a comment saying we just killed all like he was trying to escape, but she said she was going to stay. And then he was like, no,
yeah,
we got to go. We just killed those guys. They're going to be after you.
yeah. Speaking
So
of killing the guys, dude, her fighting style, the elbow drops, the leg grapples, where she's like grabbing dudes with her legs and like choking them out, Xenia on a top style.
nope, she
Like
didn't skip leg day.
it's yeah, like they set her up immediately as like, oh wow, like she's gonna be a player. She's gonna be a
Oh
major
yeah,
player.
yep.
in this movie. And then from there, like you said, he escapes, and then that's when we do the Brant call with Ethan. I like the whole is the call secure, and it shows how the encryption is done
Yeah,
on the phone, and just like him calling in, like we get to see the other side of that very briefly. Um, and yeah, this is when we find out that IMF's been shut down, the operation's been handed over to the CIA. So Ethan's like, I'm going off the grid. And Bran asks him, can you find this man? And he's like, I won't stop until I do. And I
and then
think, like you said, because he's been tracking them for a while, but you don't really get a time frame up to that point.
I think it
Like
said a
up to
year.
that point. As had it been a year since
I
the last movie?
think one of the recordings, or I think maybe Alec Baldwin's character might have mentioned something about tracking him for the past year. But
Does
again,
he? Hey, guy.
it could have been like, yeah, okay, he's been tracking him for the past year, but is that when his actual mission started at the end of Ghost Protocol? Because I mean, it was what, 5 years between movies, so I mean, he might have just been more heavily tracking him for the past year.
Yeah, and that's where it gets a little fun with the time too, because it's sort of ill-defined in the previous ones, but they get a little better throughout,
Yeah,
like the next couple of entries, where they define time a little bit more about how long it's been.
yeah.
Um,
Otherwise, you'd
so
have to do
yeah.
it based on the technology of the movie.
Oh God, yeah, for real, and the CGI.
Yeah,
So I like, this is when after he's like, I'm going off the grid, like I'm gonna be laying low doing what I need to do. This is when Brant and Hunley have their little interaction, and I wrote down the the
the
quote.
exact line.
So,
Yes.
yeah, the exact line is that, how come the CIA has never collected any actionable intel regarding this syndicate? I believe that the syndicate is a figment of his imagination created to justify the IMF's existence. Then he says something else, and then he's like, "Welcome to the CIA." Just like that. Again, like it's only he can deliver, like
Yeah,
the way he does. It's like a smarminess, but it's also like smooth about it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I,
I,
I just enjoy him in this movie.
I like there was a, and there's also mentioned a line when he was like, when I think Brent says you'll never find him or you'll never catch him, and
I
he's like,
I have
you got
that
that?
too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
have
love
that
that
too.
line.
He says you'll never find him. Set your watch, Brant. Ethan Hunt is living his last day as a free man. 6 months
6 months
later,
later.
Havana, Cuba. And up until this point, do you have anything that you want to add, or anything
I don't think so. I think
that I
we kind
haven't
of
been
been
over? No?
chiming in both back and forth. I mean, I
Yeah.
agree with pretty much everything you said. I love Brant and Hunley's, just back and forth. I mean, throughout the movie, I wish Brant was given more to do because again, going into Ghost Protocol,
Yeah.
Brant or Jeremy Renner's Brant was supposed to be like the new face of the franchise, and I mean, I get it. He had other prior engagements. 2015, this is when like Age of Ultron was coming out. I'm sure he had other things for Marvel to be doing at the time. So I
Yeah,
mean,
his
it could have
Marvel
just been
stock
like
was
a,
going up, so it
yeah.
was like, oh,
So
hey,
it's,
we need you to cameo in this movie for 5 minutes.
yeah, but I mean, it just shows like he brought like Jeremy Renner brought like a level of, I wouldn't say like arrogance, but it was definitely a particular charisma that is only Jeremy Renner has. And
Yeah,
I love that. And again, that's what I loved about all these characters. Like we finally get like a lot of these characters returning, and we
yeah,
get to like now like a lot of the characters before was just one-off characters. The only one that original from the franchise was Luther, but now we get like Benji returning again and Brant
yeah.
coming back again. It's like, all right, cool. We're now like living and growing with these characters even more so than just Ethan and Luther.
Yes, like you said, even with growth is the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing. You got it opens with Benji out in the field wearing a ghillie suit,
Yeah, exactly. Because he's a
like
field agent.
yeah, compared to like the third one where he's like, no, I wouldn't leave, stuff like that. He's the tech guy. Now all of a sudden,
Yep.
he's out here like contributing to the actual mission, and he's comfortable with it too. Like it's not like it wasn't Ghost Protocol where he was like, I don't know if I can do that and stuff like that. It's like, no, he's actually like
Yeah.
in it now.
He still has his moments of where he fumbles it a little bit, but it's a lot more quicker than, all right, like open the door, and it's like the wrong door, but he's picking it up.
Yeah.
Like it's not something you're gonna get acclimated to like right away. I mean, I wouldn't imagine. I don't know, but
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
God knows, especially under all that pressure.
exactly.
So yeah, like I was saying, we cut to 6 months later, Havana, Cuba. They're getting ready to do a raid. The CIA's finally closed in on Ethan, so they're getting ready to take him out. And this is where we get Ethan with a beard,
Yeah,
which is a first
yeah.
because we hadn't
Really
seen that in
shows
the
he's off the
franchise
grid.
yet.
Yeah, it really shows
Yeah,
he's off the grid.
it's like super grizzled too. It's not like 5 o'clock shadow with
Nah.
Mission Impossible 2. And they're getting ready, they break in, and then they see, oh, no one's there. All they have is just a little
Yeah.
phone that's just chilling right there, and then a board of everything. And I like Brant's little smirk when they said that there's no one there. He's just like but yeah, like you were saying earlier about the plane and everything else, this is when we find out we have like his wall of all of his evidence proving that the syndicate's real.
Yeah, like everything they've done.
Yeah. And it just shows like all these different news articles from stuff around the world
Yeah.
and whatnot. And it also has on the side pictures of all these former agents
Who's supposed to
and
be like
whatnot.
what, dead or presumed missing, like the bone
Yeah.
doctor from the interrogation scene. He was like presumed dead or whatever, or he was dead or presumed dead and or missing, but nope, he's alive. And all these agents that were like that are now working for the syndicate.
Yeah, because now they're all popping up out of nowhere and
Yep.
whatnot. It's like, wait, I thought they were dead. And this is also when we get Benji
Mm-hmm.
playing video games sponsored by Halo 5 on Xbox One. That mirror thing that he does when he switches over from when he's playing the actual video games because he
Yeah.
sees someone coming. That's something we used to do in the office.
Nice.
So realism, yes, it
Yes.
matters.
But he's positioned like right in the middle of like the hallway or whatever it was, and it's just like, who are you at? Are you actually hiding? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it's a weird sitting arrangement that he has
Yeah.
set up over there, but I mean, I'm like, hey, I mean, he's got a pretty decent setup though. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
video games there at work. Can't really complain too much. But yeah, this is when we find out that is it monthly
I think
or
it's weekly.
daily?
I think it's
Yeah,
weekly.
weekly
Yeah, he's got to
weekly
take weekly lie detector scene or polygraph tests.
to show that he has no affiliation with Ethan, that he hasn't seen
Yeah.
him and stuff like that. And from there, this is when we find out he receives tickets to the opera in Vienna, Austria, which we
Austria.
cut to immediately. Again, a beautiful shot of the city, like
Yes.
beautiful shot. And
Again, like
the
perfect travel commercials or whatever. It's like when you
mhm,
see these shots of the city, it's like, man, I want to go to these cities.
come visit Vienna,
Exactly.
like that. And the opera that he goes to, I wanted to look up how to say it because I'm pretty sure it's not the way that it's spelled.
No, probably
But
not. And I don't know either.
is it Turandot,
Yeah, I don't know.
Turandot, the opera? So I had looked up the opera because I feel like with this movie, like just like with anything that you put, in any movie, TV show, usually you put it in there for a reason because
Yeah,
it's referencing the
it's by
story or something. So
choice.
yeah, so I actually looked it up to see like because I had never looked it up to see if the opera had anything to do with the movie itself or the story, you know what I mean, like a parallel. So I looked it up and it said that the opera is set in China and follows a prince who falls in love with a cold princess, which is what the opera is named after. It's named after the princess. In order to win her hand in marriage, a suitor must solve 3 riddles with a wrong answer resulting in his execution. He passes the test, but the princess refuses to marry him. So to jump ahead a little,
This is
what
this
I
movie
took from
perfectly.
yeah, what I took from it is it's Ilsa's situation
Yeah.
with Solomon is he's given her so many chances to earn his good graces and his trust, but she keeps failing.
Yep.
at it, and they say, it's been twice already. I don't know if I'll get another one. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that I found that kind of interesting, and I don't know if it is. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I felt like, I mean, just from what it sounded like, it's not the exact thing, but at least the parallels
Mhm.
pretty similar.
I can
And
even we can even like kind of rearrange it as also like Ilsa's the princess and Ethan's the one trying to pass the test because he fails in London. He fails in London, and then he fails when they go to Casablanca
yeah,
in
he
Morocco,
fails
and
in
then
Vienna technically.
technically, yeah. So like he's failing too. I guess yeah, but like he's failing to catch Lane, and then it's not until the final one where you actually see the chess match between them and how now Ethan became one step ahead of him. But then
Yeah,
again, not to jump, well, we'll jump too far ahead, but you know, they don't still like they end up kind of going their separate ways, anyways, at the end, like Ethan and Ilsa. But that's getting like far ahead. But I mean, you can kind of read it both ways, like on that matter.
yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because
Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting.
yeah, it's definitely not there by accident, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Not with the
exactly.
director like this, no.
Yeah, especially with attention to detail and the way that he writes characters.
Yeah,
This is when we also get Benji using the program as a laptop, which I thought was pretty sick.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. How he just pulls it up and it's like, boom, it's a lap.
I
It's
was like,
actually a
what?
laptop.
Again, is this technology real? Probably not, but you
Yeah,
know,
one could hope.
right?
But this is I like the way that they use the opera um to set the tone of the scene, like the music and
Mm,
whatnot goes with what's going on in the actual scene to like set the intensity
yeah.
and the suspense. Especially when it's like in the middle of it, and this is when Ilsa's entering the scene, and when she does, it's super cinematic,
Oh yeah. I mean,
super cinematic, and it feels like the dress, the lighting, the
dude,
music
talk about
playing,
the dress.
like, yeah, like it feels very old Hollywood,
Oh yeah.
the way that they
Well,
bring it
like
in, the way they
1940s
bring
type,
it.
like yeah,
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's sort of like those old detective
hmm,
movies where you bring in the femme fatale,
like the noir
and
type movies. Yep.
yeah,
Black and
that
white
like that's the
noir.
feel
Yeah,
that I get from it.
I like.
Especially with Ethan following the assassin backstage. He's always ahead of him, but he's like looking. He looks to the right, and then you see him over there on the left,
Yeah,
and he
the
walks up, and then he
blocking in this
looks
whole
again.
scene is amazing.
Yeah, and like I said, it's so cinematic. It's
Yep.
super cinematic. And then he's following the assassin. They have their fight on the scaffolding, which I think is pretty cool.
Hmm.
And this I like that there's a choice, because Ilsa's mission was to take out the chancellor,
Yeah,
the
like
chancellor, and
the leader.
she
Yeah.
takes him out. Someone else takes her out, and then they take out the chancellor. She can't follow through with it, and then Ethan decides to take the shot. And
On the
I
chancellor.
like
Yeah.
that when they show, it's literally just a graze.
Yeah.
Like, it just shows that's how good he is.
Yep.
And then of course they have to make their escape, and then it brings them descending off of the rooftop. I like that once they get to the ground, the pole just falls off, and he just like,
But
he just goes like this, like,
I do want to. So I read when they're
what's
doing their escape on the rooftop, and she's like, no, no, shoes. So
mm-hmm.
he ends up taking the shoes off. Apparently, I mean, I don't know if it's true because this movie came out like what a couple months after Jurassic World, but like there was a
Yeah.
this scene they were like, this is more like
Oh,
realistic as opposed to Bryce Dallas Howard in the entire movie in her
running
heels.
in
Yeah,
heels.
like it was this movie got like far more like appreciated because it's attention to the realism of you're not going to be running from anything in heels, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I certainly couldn't.
Oh,
I mean,
she spends a majority of the movie barefoot.
exactly. I was like, I can. I mean, I can barely run at the moment, but but if anybody probably could run in heels, she could.
Oh yeah,
But
while
like,
choking
I
someone
mean,
out.
I just yeah, just But again, that dress, dang,
Yeah,
it's just like Jane from wearing that green dress in Ghost Protocol. She wore the heck out of that yellow dress in this one.
yeah.
Man, that was like,
It like,
whew,
I mean, man, like it was the attention to detail with this one. This one feels, like I said, from the shots of the city to this scene alone, like the way that it's shot, And they even do a fade in from that shot
Yeah.
where it's literally transitioning to, a fade in of it. She's walking in and they're down on it and then it goes up the stairs. Like it's like they do some really really cool shots and
Yeah.
things with this movie. So yeah, once they get off the roof, it cuts to, the chancellor and his wife, and she's like, if anything were to happen to you, and he's like, nothing's gonna happen to me, and then boom, by
Boom.
chancellor.
Car bomb. Just
Yeah,
to
and then
show
this is
just to
what
show
was it?
Solomon Lane is again one step ahead.
And the car bomb looks good, like it's
Yeah.
actual fire, like they
I'm pretty
actually
sure they
did it.
really yeah, I'm pretty sure they really blew up a car.
Yeah, because it didn't look like a CGI fire or anything like
No.
that, like we get in, some of the other installments. Like this actually looked like it was, yeah, we went for it for real. Like we
Yeah.
used pyrotechnics on set. And then this is when we find out, like she's been sent, that she was sent to kill the chancellor to gain their trust. One man to kill the chancellor, the other to kill her. Test, and it's the second one that she's failed, thanks to Ethan.
Thanks to Ethan.
And then she does her tuck and roll. He gets like her lipstick
Yeah.
from her, and she's like, you can find me with it. From there, this is when Ethan and Benji get to the boat, and I like that he has to like hotwire the scanner in order to like open the door.
Yeah.
And it's like the same one that they used in Ghost Protocol with the train
Mhm.
when they had to like scan and stuff like that with the eyes. um I like how Ethan's already like, here's your passport and stuff, and you're gonna have them, believe that I'm the one that's doing it all, that I went rogue and
Yeah.
off the grid, and I'm doing this just so that way he can protect Benji. And then this is when he starts explaining how all the events are connected, and we get the line, a rogue nation. Ha ha
Yeah.
ha. He said
Trained to
it.
do what we do.
Dude, imbued with a new sense of purpose, destroy the system that created them, regardless of who's in their way.
Yeah.
An anti-IMF.
But I love like Benji's clap back when he's trying to send him back to the
Yeah,
States, and he just like kind of goes off on Ethan. He's just like, no,
dude.
yeah, and then Ethan's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's cool like how worked up he gets about it too, because what he says is like, no, like I'm tired of lying and saying you're not my friend, because you
Yeah.
are. And all this, like he's like, no, like I know what you're doing, and what you're doing is right. And it's that constant theme of, they're always getting disavowed, and they're always
Yes.
like, oh, you're rogue and this and that. And then it's like, no, he's the one that's actually like
Yeah.
saving everything. And then at the end they're thanking him, and then by the beginning of the next one they're doing the same exact thing. It's like, oh no, he went rogue again.
Yeah. It's like, what?
It's like back forth, back forth, back forth. And then this is when that scene ends, and then we get Elsa and Solomon Lane. This is when we finally like really get him aside from that opening scene. And it's also when she does that leg grapple and the twist
Yeah, on that dude.
and
Yeah.
gets that gun, which is a really good scene. That was a big trailer scene too.
Hmm.
Because I remember that one, and I wrote down their lines too, just because I like that back and forth. And she asks, are you questioning my loyalty or ability? And he's like, can't decide. Like it's just, he doesn't speak too much, but when he does, it's like it's
It's
enough.
yeah, and it's very calm. Like he's no matter what, he's always in control of the situation. Like
Yeah, like when
he's
she says, I've told you before, trust me or kill me, but if you're gonna kill me, be a
you do
man
it
about it.
yourself.
Throws the
Yeah.
gun, do it yourself. And he just picks up the gun and shoots, and it looks like he shoots her,
Yeah.
and
Like
he
the,
shoots
the
the
the way
guy.
the gun is aimed, it's like there's no way it goes to her side or whatever it is and hits the guy behind her. Like it just
Yeah,
did the way it was angled. I was like, but I mean, the scene still works because in
yeah.
that moment, like there was no hesitation on his part.
No, there wasn't. And then I like that, he gets up all calm, and he's like, did he say anything? Like nothing, like like
Yeah,
killing people
like
is
you
nothing
just
for him. It's
nothing.
like,
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
no,
not.
like I'm gonna do my thing.
I mean, like I said, they one of the things was they took down a whole passenger plane of 220 people just to kill one person. So
Yeah,
yeah, human life means nothing to him.
exactly. And then this is when we find out that the lipstick is actually was it a flash drive?
It's a USB. Yeah.
Yeah, the USB, so that way they could find her and whatnot. And then this is when we find out that they got to go to Morocco, not
Morocco.
just
Yep.
anywhere in Morocco, Casablanca.
Casablanca. Yep.
So again, staying in theme with the whole, I feel like it's almost like a love letter to Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
It's movies because in Casablanca, the movie, Ingrid Bergman's character is named Ilsa. Hence that I think that's why that little smirk from Ethan at the camera, like right before it cuts, and it says Casablanca,
Yeah.
Morocco. And I'm wondering if that's why.
Oh, it's
Because
possible. Yeah.
it's like, get it.
Like
And then
almost
this is
breaking the
also when
fourth
we
wall.
get, yeah, and this is also when we get Luther with the mustache.
Yep. It's back.
Yeah, and then this is the first time we really get to see him interact with Brant, and I like that
Yeah.
little back and forth. And he's like, I need you to help me find him. He's just like, not interested. I know
Yeah.
Ethan, not you.
Yep.
And he tells him, he's like, they're going to kill Ethan and Benji. Like they're going to
Yeah.
do
They're
it.
not going to
Like
bring
there's
them
nothing
in. They
that's,
are going to kill them.
yeah. Are you going to help me? And I wrote down Luther's line because it's just a good one. He's like, you need to understand something. Ethan is my friend. And if I have 1 second of doubt whose side you're on, mm. Just mm.
And like Brand's just like what, fair enough, or it's just like,
Yeah.
gotcha, like good talk.
And he's like, this is all we have to go on. And he could tell just from looking at the pictures.
Yeah, it's like a crude draw. It's like it's a pretty good drawing, but yeah, it's basically just like an outline sketch of both Solomon and Ilsa. And
And
he's
look
just
at what
like,
he could do with paper and a pen versus writing on his hand like he did with Hendrix.
I know, right?
And then this is when we find out from Ilsa more about Solomon, former British intelligence. They don't know that the Syndicate was created by one of their own. She was sent undercover to gain his trust and learn the identity of the other members. And then this is when we find out that Lane has a ledger, that an agent stole it, hoping to blackmail him, kept it in a secure computer facility for safekeeping. And fortunately, he died being interrogated for the access code. And they sent her in to steal it. And then I like that little line. They're like, and she's like, let me tell you, it's impossible. And then just like that little smirk and that look at Benji with the nod, like,
Yeah,
like shit, we can do it.
no problem.
It's just a Friday. So, do you have anything that you want to bring up? Anything?
No, not at the moment. No, like I know, I love Brant and Luther's. Like you said, it's like their first meeting, so they're always like, when something like that happens, they're always kind of like measuring each other, against each other. Just like, so that's always fun. But again, like, and I know they eventually, leave the confines of the CIA and they end up in Morocco. But I was like, I still wish Brant would have had a lot more to do in this movie.
Yeah, and I think
But
a big part of it is because a lot of it is spent with Ilsa. A
yeah,
lot
I
of it
think
is
yeah,
spent
and
with
I think
her.
that's. I mean, it's. I think it was the right decision because this movie doesn't work. I think if Ilsa is not like a strong and well like written character, like if she's kind of
Because she's the eyes of the
yeah,
Syndicate, because we
yeah,
don't know anything about them, but she's the one that's like,
and it's
this and
almost
that.
played like we get a sense like yeah she's on our side, but at the same time there's always that expectation that it could just be a betrayal coming because I mean she
Yeah.
still does it. I mean she still betrays him a little. She still has to kind of save her own skin, and she doesn't want to
Yeah.
have to like she's probably never had to rely on anybody else, so it's kind of hard for her to also trust.
Yeah. It's the femme fatale.
Yeah,
This is what it is. And she plays it perfectly. Plays
yeah.
it perfectly.
But
And this is when we get into the what was that?
I was like, and when they open up again the scene to like Morocco, Casablanca, and it's just like, again, just almost a a grand shot like we got when they opened up in Dubai. Like it's like again just
It's
a beautiful,
sweeping, just like
exactly,
sweeping
just a,
across.
and it's just a straight like desert landscape, but it's still like so well like shot, and it's just beautiful to look at.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, which actually leads into the actual mission. So they have to break into the power plant or skiff, so they can retrieve the ledger, which is under military guard.
Of
They
course.
have to go into they have to go in underwater into the liquid cooled array inside the Taurus to change the security profile so Benji can access the computer without being caught. So it's multi-layered. Like the only way they
Yep.
can get in is it's sort of one person has to be doing this over here while the other person's doing this over here. But this over here has to be done first in order for this person to succeed.
Yep.
So of course, just like every mission that they have, of course, is not easy. They have to free dive underwater, no tanks due to the metal being
Yeah.
detected inside the area, and then the service hatch can only be opened from the inside
Yeah.
versus outside. And I like that they run through the list of like how they're gonna go about getting in there.
It's like
And
you just got to hold your breath for like what was it, 3 minutes, and he's like, you
for
can do
three
that.
minutes,
It's
yeah,
like
he's
you
like,
can
"Oh,
do that.
don't
And
worry
he's
about
just like,
him."
he's like, no, worry about me because I can get tasered and thrown in prison, and you can just die.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, that's nothing. We've been through worse odds."
Yeah, which I'm not sure which is worse, to be thrown into a Moroccan prison or actually just dying. I don't know.
I don't know. There's a difference.
Yeah, I mean,
But this is also when we get Luther finding Ilsa with the sketches. He
yeah,
tells Brant, he's like, these sketches, what do you see? And he's
yeah,
like, this one's more detailed or something along those lines. And it's like he trusts her. I like this. How long is this gonna take, founder?
exactly. He's like, I'm not looking for him. I'm looking for her. But yeah, he's just like,
Mm-hmm.
how's this long gonna up, founder? He's just like, just to a
Yeah.
sketch.
He's that
So,
good, man. He's that
hey,
good.
so maybe Matt Murdock could tell what's her name was getting. Maybe he could
Yo,
tell it was Heather from the paintings.
For those of
Just
you who
saying.
are not in the know, that's a throwback to our Daredevil Born Again recap.
Yeah.
Was that episode 7?
7?
I think episode 7.
7,
I
yeah,
don't know.
7.
I blocked out a lot of that show.
Yeah, yeah,
But definitely check out our reaction. It's
yeah.
definitely something. Very good conversation. But I digress. The actual mission itself. So, they land up on the roof. Benji's coming in the car, which he has that little switch that like
Yeah,
kills the access and then he switches it back on. Um, so again, 3 minutes underwater, 2.5 minutes to switch the security profile and 30 seconds to escape. And
yep.
they tell him, try not to overexert yourself or move too much. My issue with this, how did no one see or witness the water stopping or him jumping in
Yeah.
the
I
actual
mean,
thing?
so
Because you
I
see,
was,
when you go back and look, you
there's
see a
people there,
bunch
yeah.
of yeah, they're like
Yeah.
working around the thing.
Yeah,
And
it
you're not just looking like,
was
oh, hey.
because what he jumps in first and then she shuts the water down, right? It's because
Yeah.
they don't want him like constantly spinning around. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember because there is people there, and I remember when he jumped, I couldn't see people like in that vicinity, but I'm like, there's still it's like a plant, so there's going to be a lot of people. Like, how do they just not? I don't know. Maybe they just weren't looking up at at the right
Yeah.
moment. But yeah,
I mean,
no, I agree. Like it was like someone probably should have saw something. I mean, they did go early in the morning, so maybe they were in between
yeah.
shift changes.
Because you see people, like you see
Yeah,
actual people moving when he does it, and I'm
yeah,
just like,
exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
I'll suspend that disbelief.
I mean, you could have literally
Um,
just thrown a line in there and be like, oh, like if no one saw him, like, oh yeah, they were just shift changing or something. But
yeah.
because it was early in the morning,
Also, good thing that when he hit the water, he went straight into that tunnel and didn't hit the
bro,
sides, dude.
right?
I
Like, how
I didn't
precise
realize
is that
that.
jump? Like,
Yeah,
he had maybe like a foot like a foot diameter, like all the way around him on either side. Like, he needed to be tucked in tight.
yeah. And you're telling me you're still holding your breath with that drop too?
I mean, Yeah, I would. I'd probably be like, there'd be no way. I'd probably
I
release
bet
everything.
as soon as I hit that
Yes,
water,
that's why he is Ethan and we are not.
so I will say, so I watched this scene twice, just because like the first time I looked at my note and I was like, you know what, let me go back and see. Because when I had first initially done the watch through, I was trying to take notes, but I kept stopping just because like I found myself just watching the movie. I was like, I
Yeah,
just
of
want to watch
course,
the movie.
of course.
So I had to watch it twice. And the CGI camera shake is really bad
Yeah.
in this scene. Like when it goes to the CGI camera versus like, like an actual camera
Uh huh.
doing it, like there's a point where like it shakes a little bit, and especially like with the CGI bubbles and stuff like that, it makes the scene look super unrealistic, but I know that they do a good job of combining it
Yeah.
too. But when you do see the CGI, it's really noticeable. But I feel like that's just an issue with this franchise in general, is that they can never nail the
The CG.
CGI down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the only issue I really have with that. They complete the mission. Ethan died again.
Oh yeah. Again. Yeah.
he drowned.
Yeah. And like this scene was so intense. Like I don't know who, if anyone's ever like felt like they've almost drowned or one time. Like I remember when I was at like a water park and it was Slitterbond, when I think it was an eighth grade field trip, and there was like a wave pool that went around, right? So the waves generate here, and the waves kind of go around, right? So
Huh.
everybody was always like here. I mean, the wave stopped once it got here because right here is like an open thing, but like
Yeah.
it's whatever. But like everyone was always waiting right here because when the waves come, that's where it's
Like a
um
tidal wave.
yeah. So like if you and me being in like eighth grade, I wasn't like the tallest person. Like I didn't get my growth spurt until like later in high school. I
Yeah.
kind of got like pushed under, and it was just like a wall of people all the way. So it's just like all the way around. So it's like you really felt like I was gonna drown there, or at least get close to it. And it's like it's not a great feeling to have.
No.
So like
Oh,
anybody who has like any fear of like the water or drowning, like this scene will like it will get to you. It's that intense because you have
yeah.
Ethan's like breath thing on his arm, like like
His
out
oxygen
of
level
air,
right
and
there.
I believe the way the music is going too. I think it doesn't have his beat or like maybe not his
Yeah.
heartbeat, but it's like beating down, and it's like and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he's just like and he just kind of
And he's
starts sinking.
convulsing
Yeah,
too.
and he's
Like,
just
it's
sinking,
like, oof,
and
oof,
it's like really well
oof.
done, and it does add that it has like 14 layers of intensity
Yeah.
to to that whole scene. Like we're used to these movies being intense, but this one, like if you have that fear of drowning, this will probably make you relive some moments.
Yeah. Well, especially when that arm, knocks him
Yeah,
and whatnot, and you're just like, you're already like,
yeah,
anxious just because of the breath
exactly. Because
holding.
it's like 3 minutes. Like who can hold their breath for 3 minutes? I certainly
Yeah.
can.
And then, this is when she jumps in and she rescues him and she brings him back.
I will say the
And
camera work there was great.
yeah,
Just the,
where it's
just
like spinning and whatnot while they're spinning in the
yeah,
water. And then she
and
like grabs on,
and
which she
yeah,
has a CGI arm right there because her arm is like super long.
super long. Yeah,
Yeah, she's got that Michael Jordan Space Jam arm going on.
got that Toon Force.
Yeah. And she brings him back with the paddles and whatnot, and then Benji shows up, and he has his line, "I appreciate everything you do for me, but one of these days you're gonna take it too far."
Like, which
and and
might be soon.
dude, I guess Benji doesn't die because she like she
Yeah,
hits
right.
him in the back with the
That's what I'm
paddles. He's
saying.
like,
Like, maybe it wasn't a full charge or something.
yeah,
Because I mean, she did
but
just get through using it. And I think it takes a minute. I don't know.
true.
I don't know. Well, I mean,
But then,
if we remember Mission Impossible 3, didn't it take like 30 seconds for it to charge?
yeah, true,
Yeah.
true. This is Yeah, and then when he comes back, of course he's all disoriented and whatnot, like he doesn't know where he is. He's fallen over and stuff like that. But this is when she's suiting up for the bikes because the bone doctor catches up with her
Yeah.
and everyone. So they're like, okay, we're taking you in and stuff like that. And she just knocks them all down with the bike. She just
Just
takes off.
yep.
And then Ethan jumping over the car, just falling
Well,
over.
it's like, are you good? You were dead like 2 minutes ago. He's like, what?
What are you talking about? Just watching him try to do stuff, but apparently he's still a great driver. Even death can't take that away from him. But the car chase is great.
Yeah.
I love this car
It's
chase.
very
It
well
looks
shot.
good. Yeah, it looks good. It's intense. Um, Only issue is at the end the car flipping
Yeah.
does look really bad.
That was a little overdone. But it's like
Yeah,
one of those
it's
things where it's like you said at the beginning with him getting into the cargo plane. It's
yeah.
kind of reminiscent of this scene. It's just like would the car really flip like 12 times? I mean I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah, it
especially because
was
it wasn't going that fast
no. I mean it
for
was
it to
going
do that.
reverse too.
Yeah.
I mean I get he kind of launches himself a little bit, but I don't know. I personally I
Yeah.
don't. I mean I think that this would have been better practical, but they probably
Yeah.
they probably did try it practically, but they couldn't
They
get what they wanted.
they
So they're
wanted
like,
more
you know what,
flips. That's all they
something.
wanted.
They wanted the
They
Michael
just
Bay
wanted.
flips.
Yeah, and honestly, that's more what it feels like.
Yeah, right.
Like when they utilize the CGI, is like this is something Michael Bay would do. Speaking of, this is when they're upside down, and a biker comes up walking towards. All you see is their legs, and then Brandon Luther coming in,
Boom.
hitting with the car. Dude, that car, I'm pretty sure it was CGI'd
Maybe it's
because of the
possible.
way it comes in, and it almost looks like it's not on the actual ground
I mean, it's
when it
possible. I
comes
didn't.
in.
Yeah, I usually just laugh at the scene when the guy just goes
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah, just donk.
But when it was
Just
the earlier bickering when they're like when they first see him and they were doing the car chase and the motorcycle chase, it was like, oh, it's gonna be a chase if you get like the biggest SUV or whatever
yeah.
it is,
You
and
just
they're
you
just
just
like
had
doing
to have the 4x4.
their bickering was reminded like I every time I hear it or watch it, it reminds me of like Sam and Bucky's bickering from like Civil War and stuff like that. It's just like
Yeah.
this unlikely duo just kind of pairing well together. I know this movie came out
Yeah.
first, but it's like it's kind of the similar in similar fashion.
No, it's true. And it's like like you said, just pairing those two who are already like sarcastic in their own way, but then to have them go back and forth with it,
Yeah.
which of course leads to the bike scene. Ethan takes the bike, and then you brought this up last video, I believe, and I said, oh, hold on to that because I'm going to be mentioning it later. This is not only the bike scene, but this is when we start entering the torque portion of the movie. um the bike the bikes look good, the cars look really bad.
Yeah.
The cars look really bad, like almost, I would say, worse than the Matrix Reloaded highway scene.
Oof.
Yeah, because when you really look at the cars, they look very CG.
Like they put him in post.
Yeah, like real bad. Like because you see the bikes doing their thing and it looks really good, but then it's like you just see the cars.
Yeah, I bet
They
they were
look
like, you wouldn't be focusing too much on the cars. You'd be focusing on the bikes because that's the point of it's like the center point of the shot. And it's like
oh
it's
yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
gonna be
like
focusing on them, but I'm gonna
two
be watching
frames.
what
Like
they dodge to.
they're like they don't expect people to watch it 10 times.
Yeah. Well, I guess they don't want fans.
It's like no, you make a good movie, we're gonna watch it 10 times,
Yeah.
maybe more.
And then the bike scene is real good. It ends with he's almost up to Ilsa, and then she like gets off the bike and she's just standing in the middle of the road, and he just goes off, pulls over, and she just walks off. I like how she does her little like head in shame sort of thing, like she feels bad
Yeah, and
about doing it. It's like she doesn't want to do it, but she has to.
I love this part because of what happens in the next movie. So like in this one, he dodges her, But in the next one, he
Oh
actually.
yeah.
So
I didn't even think about that. Coming soon,
yeah,
y'all. Coming
yeah,
soon.
yeah, yeah. Not to get that far ahead, but it just kind of reminds me, it's like he took a spill, like
Yeah.
a huge big
And
spill
after
on.
watching it today, yes, I can confirm.
Yeah,
It
because
is
he had
good.
to been going like 100, on that bike.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
So, from there, this is when, he's walking back and then he meets back up with Brant and Benji and Luther, and he's like, please tell me you made a copy of that disc. He's like, of
of
course I
course,
made a copy.
of course.
And then this is when we cut to London, which, man, she got to London pretty fast. And this is where we meet Atlee, her British handler.
Yep.
And this one, I wrote down like almost their entire dialogue. Uh, I'm not gonna read it all, but I mean, that just shows you that I was really paying attention to the detail because of this is where you get a lot of who she is in her
Yeah.
situation of what she's got going on. My orders were to deliver you information regarding the syndicate, and Atlee's like, your orders were to infiltrate the syndicate. That way, we may learn more about them firsthand. This isn't proof; it's just a test, like everything else. And the only way to pass is for you to go back. And she's like, I can't go back. I betrayed him too many times. And he claps back with, in every instance, you did so on your own volition. And again, she's throwing it back. He was going to torture and kill an American agent, and you should have let him. Then you would still have his trust. This is the trade. Hunt understands that. She's like, I wasn't going to let him die. He's our ally. He's like, there are no allies in statecraft. It's only common interest. And right now, Ethan Hunt's a man without a country. This makes killing him decidedly less complicated. She's like, are you ordering me to kill him? He's like, good God, no. Nothing so crude as that. No. Lane will order you to do it, and you will. And she's like, you sent me to do a job. I did it. Now bring me in. And he's like, might I remind you, you yourself are without a country as well. The director of the CIA called me, and of course, to protect your cover, I had to lie. And he's smiling, while he's doing it. So it's just showing you that, with the handler, they're supposed to be like your go-to,
Yeah.
like when you're undercover and you're doing something, like they're the ones that keep you, focused on the mission, focused on, what you need to do. But like this guy, he's like just hanging her out to dry. And like the last thing he says to her, so as far as the Americans are concerned, you're a rogue assassin, a target of opportunity. Precious few people still know about your true identity. It would be unfortunate if we forgot. Glad to know you're still with us. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a cold line, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we
It's
later
so
find out
cold.
why he's like this, but he in the process he's also deleting her thumb drive that she stole.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah,
don't know
because
this
she
until
brought it in
later.
to show, like, hey,
Yeah.
I have everything, and they're unable to open it because it contains a red box, which apparently is a means for the British government to transport their state secrets. It's triple encrypted, according to Benji, so that includes fingerprints, retinal scan, and a voice phrase spoken by a specific individual. In this case, the Prime Minister of
The
Great
prime
Britain.
minister. Yep.
And then, Brant confirming that since they can't access it, they can't prove that the syndicate exists and the CIA is still on their trail. And Luther realizes that Lane's going to take the prime minister since he wants the ledger but can't access it. And Ethan agrees, but they're still trying to figure out how. Like, how is he going to do it?
Mhm.
Like, he's going to take him, but how? Benji's like, we need to warn them. Brant's even agreeing, and Ethan's like, wait, let's think about this for a second. And Brant, of course, because he's by the book guy, he's like, we
Yep.
have a responsibility to warn the British government and not gamble with the prime minister's life, Ethan, just so you can beat the guy that is beating you at every turn. And he's like, is that
Yeah.
what you think this is? And I wrote down this line. He's like, I think right now you're incapable of seeing that there is another way. And Luther
Luther.
coming
Yep.
in clutch,
In true
and
Luther
sometimes
fashion.
Ethan is the only one capable of seeing the only way. And this is when we get a minor Tom Cruise voice raise. He's like, when he's talking about Lane, he's like, if he wants something to happen, there is no preventing it. Like he raises his voice a little bit. I was like, oh yes. I was like, bring it back. He's still in there. He's still in there. And then
They're all
you know,
dead.
he's like, we're gonna find Lane. All right, Ethan, please tell me how we're gonna do that. And then tablet Ex Machina cuts to it, and we see Ilsa on the screen still being located. And then we get the cemetery scene,
Yep.
which they don't not much happens there, but I love that Solomon's first line. He's like, all is forgiven. Man, a few words. And I wrote down some of his lines where he's like, you're still alive because I believe in your potential, but I grow impatient. Why do you continue to resist?
It's
And he,
in another context that's so creepy.
yeah, it is. But again, only he can deliver it.
Only him, yeah.
And he says that my method is far more surgical, killing to keep things as they were, and now I'm killing to bring about change. I think Ethan Hunt would disagree. Also, his response is that Ethan Hunt is a gambler, and one day his luck will run out, and thousands of innocent people will pay the price. Which one of us will be the villain then? Which,
Yeah.
again, great line. A great
Yes.
line for a villain. And this is when you find out about the flash drive that she brought Atlee. They
Yeah.
had checked it and they're like, nothing's here and it's empty. And I like that he's holding back from lashing out, and he just like
Yeah.
calmly caresses her face, and he's like, I'm interested to see who you'll blame for what happens next. Like, again, it's just it's setting up the next scene like perfectly.
Yeah.
Just like little things like that. And then this is when we cut to the train station. Was there anything that you wanted to add? Or
No, I just, again, like, everyone's playing like their own form of like 3D chess, and it's when you're at this point of the film, and again after this scene, and you get to the culmination and the climax of it, you get that understanding of how like how intricately written this movie is. Like there was a lot of attention to detail, and even a great like dialogue and script, just even like in smaller scenes like that.
yeah, well,
And
especially in like you just said, the cemetery scene, the
yep,
train station that we're about to talk about in a second. The dialogue, like
yes,
each scene, like it's not just there to be there. It's like the scenes serve purpose, not
yes,
just to move the story along, but you're also learning more about who the individuals are, their motivations, their fears, their weaknesses, their strengths, and whatnot. You're going along on a journey with them, and you're buying into it
yep.
because you believe in them. And like the like I said, the train station, like I wrote down a couple of the lines from that as well, just because like this is where we find out about the disc being this is like the disc was blank. Ethan's like, did you have it on you at all times? And then it flashes back to show that Atlee was deleting the drive when he placed it on the newspaper. And she's like, they don't care if you live or die, but you knew I was going to take it to him. I hoped you would. I hoped it would be enough to get you out. Again, he cares about her. He's like, I
Yeah.
just want you out of this. And he's like, so who are you working for now? And she's like, Lane, Atlee, your government, my government, they're all the same. We only think we're fighting for the right side because that's what we choose to believe. So where does that leave us? She's like, the way I see it, you have three choices. One, you hand me you hand me and the disc over to the CIA. I'll prove the syndicate exists. Lane becomes their problem. Your work is done. Brant, my thoughts exactly. Benji works for me. It's like, but they're not going to believe you, and you'll all be tried for treason. Lane goes free. Luther chiming in. I'm afraid she has a point. Option two, you let me walk away with to an uncertain fate. Use the disc as bait to trap Lane, but some part of you suspects you've met your match. And being a gambler, you'll probably end up handing Lane that disc whether you want to or not. Benji, that's entirely possible. And then option three, I love option three, where she's like, "Come away with me right now," and the look on his face. Like
Yeah.
there's a look where he's like, yeah, and Luther, oh boy, he's
Luther
like,
knows
and
his
what?
friend.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, and what about Lane? It's like, he's like he thinks about it for a second, but he's like, no, what about Lane? He's like, forget about Lane. There'll always be another Lane. There'll always be people like us to face him. And Ethan's face when she says this, there's like a sadness in his eyes.
Because there's not going to be another
Um,
Ethan.
yeah, and at the same time, like it makes you wonder if he's thinking about Julia and like if he'll ever be able to have his own
Yeah.
life like that. Like there's that part of him I think that still wants that and holds on to it, but he knows like he's always about the greater good.
Yeah.
And he's like, she says, we've done our part and we've been cast aside. We can be anyone, we can do anything. It's only a matter of going. And I think that's an interesting line because that's something that Solomon would say, that
Yeah.
Lane would say, about how the whole purpose of the syndicate is it's these agents that felt casted aside or felt like they wanted more, like they were either betrayed by their government or they just lost, their way from it and they wanted something more.
Yeah. They wanted to tear down the establishment and build something better or newer, like that in the image that they see.
Yeah. And then this is when, they Lane has a message, she plays the thing, and then they get the feedback, and then this is when Benji gets kidnapped.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing, like that whole conversation, Ilsa and Ethan. Like I'm gonna bring it up when we talk about Fallout, but it's
Yeah.
that whole like line of dialogue. Um, it's gonna. I think I'll bring it back up, but I want to make a note of it. Uh, but it's. I think that conversation is gonna play into something I want to say when we discuss Fallout.
Got you. So remember that. Remember that. It's coming back. Yeah, there's a
Yes.
lot of stuff that's gonna come back.
Hmm.
So this is when Benji gets kidnapped. Ethan's like, Luther, stay with her, and then Ilsa pulls a Batman,
Yep.
disappears into the crowd. And then this is when we get Ethan running
Yeah, of
again,
course.
slightly in the parking garage.
Franchise
Very
staple.
mhm, running in the parking garage, very Big Trouble in Little China. So this is when he talks to Lane, and Lane's like, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to bring me the unlocked disc by midnight tonight. Now say the words, please. And I don't know, I was misremembering um the line because of freaking Bring It On.
Oh
Like,
God.
in your mission, should you choose to decide it, and you'd better. And from there, welcome to the movie. Tom Hollander is the prime minister, known for Pirates of the Caribbean, and I forgot he was in Bohemian Rhapsody, among other things. But I love him in the movie In the Loop. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever seen that movie,
Uh-uh.
where he plays like another member of the British Parliament. It's so freaking good. Like you would enjoy it, and for those of you who have seen it or haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Like it's a really really funny movie, and you Robert would love it for Peter Capaldi's character Malcolm Tucker in there. like oh, think Roy
Nice.
Kent.
Nice. Love Roy Kent.
Yeah, but so much worse. But so much worse. So this is when they Ethan's like, we have to take the prime minister, and this is like, this is why it has to happen. This is how we beat Lane. This is how we make it right. And he's like, can't you see? Can't you see? And Brant's looking at him like, what? Like, no,
Yeah.
I
Like
can't.
no. But this
And
is
then this,
also the moment where you're like, you might actually be starting to think that Ethan might be off the like, kind of, like, you know what I mean? He might be like wrong, right? Like we're always
yeah,
trusting Ethan, but like all of a sudden, like Lane's beaten him several times, and now he has Benji, so it's like he's desperate. Like
yeah,
he appears desperate, and but as an audience watching this, you're like, is Ethan really kind of like losing it a little bit? Like, has he finally met his match?
yeah. I mean, and it's definitely that. Like, it brings on the almost like the paranoia,
Yeah,
where like you said, it's like a man at his wits' end, where he's like, yeah, I've been beaten, and
yeah,
he's used to like always like, no, no, I find a way out, and this is the one where he can't really find a way. And then this is where it actually cuts to Hunley on the plane, and he's looking over some of the information, and he has this look on his face like there might be something to the whole syndicate thing
yeah.
that they keep bringing up. But then all of a sudden he gets the phone call from Brant, and I like that they make it seem like Brant's betraying them
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And this is when Benji meets Solomon Lane, and he's just like looking at him and whatnot. And I had a thought while I was watching it. I was like, man, they could play brothers in a movie.
They really could.
Like, I feel like they would have like a really good back and forth dynamic in a movie, in another movie.
Yeah.
But Hunley arrives in London. They arrive, I guess, at this party that the prime minister's at, or some sort of charity thing. And this is when Hunley sees Chief Atlee. He's like, last time we spoke, you were hunting rogue agents in Morocco. That's what he tells him. And the prime minister's called to meet with Atlee, and he's like, Ethan Hunt has gone rogue. And when they're talking about, he believes that there's some, group called the Syndicate, and the prime minister has this look on his face. And I wrote down his line. He's like, Syndicate, you say? He's like, Atlee, he couldn't possibly talking about that syndicate because you assured me that that syndicate was merely an exercise. I can assure you it was, and yet we have the Central Intelligence Agency indicating otherwise. And then, Hunley's face when, he's finally realizing that something's actually going on. He's like, wait, what? Like, this is real. And they tell him, does the name Solomon Lane ring any bells? And he's like, yes, unfortunately it does.
It's like,
And
my night's
Hunley's,
just getting better and better.
yeah, and then Hunley's like, so there actually is Syndicate. It's like he's finally catching up.
I know, right?
And I wrote down what he says. He says it was the hypothetical brainchild of Chief Atlee. Recruit former agents from other nations, supply them with a new identity, and use them to surgically remove our enemies, both at home and abroad. Its operating budget was to be hidden offshore in a virtual red box, which I alone would control. It would have made me judge, jury, and executioner with zero accountability. I rejected the proposal unequivocally. Furthermore, I was given every assurance it never passed the planning stage. And Atlee's like, there is no syndicate. And he says, Atlee, save it for the public inquiry. And I think we get the best line from Alec Baldwin in the entire movie right here. And this is when Prime Minister's trying to leave, and Hunley's like, he's coming in with like the Ethan Hunt hype right here. He's like, sir, I urge you not to leave this room. Hunt is uniquely trained and highly motivated, a specialist without equal, immune to any countermeasures. There is no secret he cannot extract, no security he cannot breach, no person he cannot become. He has most likely anticipated this very conversation and is waiting to strike in whatever direction we move. Sir, Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny, and he has made you his mission. Like, again, only Alec Baldwin, dude. Only he could deliver
I
that
felt like they're
speech.
just like they probably just told him like, hey, just go talk, just go speak on what
Yeah.
you feel. Search your gut and just go for it.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a summary of what this scene needs. Okay,
Yeah,
go.
go.
Like, just the words, like those specific words, and that, like, that's like the
No one
ultimate
speaks
hype
that way.
somebody could get. Yeah, somebody,
And no,
if somebody was to describe somebody else like that,
I want to be like the the manifest.
that eloquent,
Yeah. Like, I want to be like, what
the
was the
living
line
manifestation
about?
of
Yes,
destiny.
Yes, let that. I want to be that. Like, who speaks like this?
Yeah. And then this is when the prime minister gets shot in the chest, and then it turns out it's face reveal.
By the way, it
Ethan
was
was,
it was a dart. It was like a trank dart, not like an
yeah.
actual. Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, it was you. He was like, "Ugh," like Ace Ventura, just like, oh.
Yeah.
And I love Alec Baldwin's thing. He's like, hunt. And again, probably the second best line. Hunt, I hope you realize you've set back U.S. UK relations to the American Revolution.
Yep.
And the prime minister's got like the great line to Brandt. He's like, "You've got a very warm hand." When he's doing the hand scan, Jeremy Renner's face is just like,
Makes me think that that line was ad libbed.
I hope it was because it was funny.
It's always like those natural reactions that make like those moments like feel more real. Just like you know, anytime an actor does something that's like not in the script, and then you get that genuine reaction from the other actor acting opposite, it's just like it makes the scene feel more
Yeah.
real because the actors are trained to just keep going with the scene. So it's like,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then they're
good
like,
actors. Good
yeah,
actors are.
that's yes, and you know, Jerry, great actor. So it's like when something like that were to happen, it's like he's trained to just kind of give a natural response, and it just he knows not to break character.
Yeah. I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. And then this is when they're questioning the real Atlee because he's shown up and they're like, "We know you created the syndicate, but Lane went rogue and turned against you, didn't he? You've been desperately trying to cover it up." And then Brank, and he's like, "Yes." And then when the prime minister found out about the syndicate, Atlee attacked him. The prime minister,
he's like,
"Yes,
yes,
that's true."
yeah, he's like, yes, that's true.
And then you saved the prime minister, sir. You know, they're telling Hunley this. And the prime minister, did he? I'm very grateful.
It's
And
just all
just that,
playing into the narrative. It's so great.
yeah. And then just that smirk and that nod from Hunley when they give him the dart gun. And he's like, sir. And he's just like, huh. Like he's like, huh. Like I like
Like
this.
now I get the right, you know, Ethan Hunt. You know, everyone's defends him. Like, yeah,
Yeah, like why they're on his side and why he is who he is and
yeah,
why they support him. And this is when they finally they're like, okay, we got to get Benji back. It's almost midnight and stuff. And this is when Luther and Ethan meet back up, and he's trying to make sure, like before he gives them the laptop, that Ethan is focused on not letting Lane get control on the funds
yeah,
that they were able to get to, because the prime minister was able to unlock everything, so now they have access to the ledger. And according to Atlee's video, 2.4 billion pounds
yeah.
is what's been set aside for it. And then just showing Ethan drilling the drive, like, no, like this thing's dead. Like nobody's gonna have access to this. So this is when they go out in public to the restaurant area, sitting area where Benji is. And they strapped 2 pounds of Semtex, 530 caliber ball bearings sitting on a pressure trigger. So it's basically a landmine.
Pretty much, yeah. That'll cause some
Is what he
damage.
is. He's like, and that's when they find out, it's Ilsa's final test. She kills Ethan and Benji. If not, everyone dies. And this is when, he decides to turn the tables
Yeah,
on Lane, and he's like, look, I'll give you $50 million to let Benji go. And he gives him the account for it, and he makes the transfer. And he he's like, I'm the ledger, like I destroyed it, but I have it all memorized, every account, every amount, so the only way that you're gonna get it is you let Benji go. And I memorized all $2.4 billion worth of it. And he even has the line like, that's how I know I'm gonna put you in a box. And you're thinking he's like,
killing them.
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we
But like, it
know what's
makes
coming.
But it makes you wonder, is like, do you think he has like that photographic memory? Is that another trait that we just now discovered about him, or is he bluffing?
I think it might be both, because I mean, he's trained. Like they say,
Yeah,
like he's like highly trained. So I wouldn't doubt that he has that really good memory, but I also feel like it might be a bluff too. I think
yeah,
he just
because
needed like that essential one, because he knew, I just need that one thing to entice him.
yeah,
and then from there do it, because he even has a line where he talks about, I bet you think I'm bluffing and stuff like that, but you'll never know. Like, you have to do it. You
Yeah.
have to go through with it. And then I like that when he's deciding what he's gonna do and it's counting down on the vest. I looked at the vest; it was 0.19 milliseconds left
Yeah. Yep.
until it blew up. And Benji takes off, and then this is when like they're all closing in and whatnot. And I couldn't remember how this scene played out, but then when I saw it again, I realized, oh yeah, that's how he's gonna protect her, by putting himself in front of her, knowing that they can't shoot him.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and then this is when we get our final chase scene. I like that Ilsa's actually like taking like slashes and getting injured here.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, she got punched and she's getting back up. It's like, no, she's getting stabbed
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It shows them actually getting injured.
Yeah, she ends up in a fight with the Bone Doctor, right? Or was
Yeah.
he? Yeah, right. And like he's doing some damage to her. It's
Yeah.
it just shows like, yes, they're also highly trained recruits. These are all former agents, so it's not just going to be like she's going to come in and just be like turn him into a pushover. Like no, like it was a very evenly fought match.
Yeah. And then she gets the leg up literally
Yep.
on him and just stabs him right in the head. And I love that scene of him falling down, but she's still on top. And then she just walks off.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way that it's shot. And I know that's the scene we saw like 3 times in theaters. But yeah, and then we also get Ethan throwing himself through windows. Like
Yeah.
3 windows, I think, within the span of 5 minutes.
Like he's the one being chased this time. It's not the other way around. Like usually he's the one chasing the villain.
Yeah, and this time he's like, no, I gotta run away now. And yeah, this is when he throws himself through that final pane, and then he like jumps in through this opening in the floor, and Lane's following him, and then he sees him, so he jumps down, and he's like, this is the end of the line for you. And then all of a sudden, like, this like
Boom.
door comes out of nowhere, boom, boom, and
Yep.
then you find out that he got put in I guess a
box.
glass case. Yeah, like an actual box. They are very lucky that those panes are bulletproof.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure they designed those panes to be that way because
I would hope so, because I mean that gun was pretty powerful that he had.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he's like pulling the trigger, like headshots at all of them. And I like it. The line, Mr. Lane, meet the IMF. Music starts playing. Oh, that music cue. Oh, it's so good. And just that wide-eyed stare that he has when he's banging like on it. He's just looking at him.
Yeah.
He's banging on it. And then when he just pushes it over,
makes that
loud thud.
It's like there's still someone in there. But I love when they were like, "Welcome to, this is the IMF," and Ilsa is standing with them.
Yeah.
So it like gives like a sense like she's joining the team.
Yeah, like, it's like she's one of us now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean and then now she's free now. He even tells her, he's like, "You're free now. Where will you go?" And she's like, "I don't know, but I've done my part." And I like that it's a hug versus a kiss goodbye.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like a kiss would have been too forced.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like that it's sort of like a mutual agreement sort of thing, like I'll see you. Yeah. I'll be seeing you sort of thing, because it leaves it open.
Yeah, like you can tell there's something blossoming between them two, but
yeah,
if it would have happened right there, it would have been like, okay, well, you just added it, I guess, just to add that extra whatever. But they didn't need it. Like again, these two characters are pretty much the exact same in most regards, but it just wasn't needed. And and I think even going forward, like they might have filmed it, but I'm glad they didn't include it in the film. If they did indeed film it, I'm glad it did not happen.
Yeah, I agree. And then she even leaves him with, you know how to find me, and she just takes off out into the sunset.
Yep.
And then this is when we finally cut back to Hunley, and he's like, now he's going back on everything, and he's saying that that the whole thing was part of the op, that we
Yeah.
had reason to believe the syndicate had infiltrated our government at the highest level. So in order for our man to infiltrate that organization, his cover had to be absolute. The operation was known only to myself and a handful of IMF agents. And I'm here today, asking for the IMF to be reinstated. They asked Brant, then we get it one last time. Can neither confirm nor
And then,
and
but
the
this time,
yeah,
there's a smirk on Hunley's face.
exactly. And we get the final line of the movie. Welcome to the IMF, Mr. Secretary.
Yep. The
And
new,
boom.
the new secretary, because that's what I'm saying. I think this had to have been like a year, because I want to say that the leader of the IMF, the secretary, I believe it's the Secretary of State. So if the secretary, like,
Yeah.
what's his name, Wilkinson, got shot in Ghost Protocol, like I imagine there's some kind of like succession line for that position or whatever. Like I'm not up to this. Up to that level of, like, American politics on the succession of the
Yeah.
Secretary of State. So it's probably been an opening this entire time. So they were probably using his unfortunate demise as a way to incorporate the IMF into the CIA until they, and then now they get the director. What, I think Hunley was the director, right, at the CIA.
Yeah, he was
And
CIA
then he was
director.
like, no, he was like, you know what? I'll just take over. Like, I guess he became the Secretary of State. I mean, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know. Like that part's never like truly identified, but I think he's the Secretary of
Yeah.
State now.
Yeah. By him saying Mr. Secretary,
Yeah.
I that's how I choose to acknowledge it.
Right.
All right, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have for Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation. What about you? Do you have anything else you want to mention about it?
No, I think we covered pretty much. I mean, I do, man. I mean, like I said, the addition of Ilsa was a great welcome to the franchise. Um, well written character, beautifully played by Rebecca Ferguson, and I do love Solomon Lane as the antagonist villain of this film. I think he is pretty much everything Ethan is and is not, and like everything, like he's pretty much the perfect counter to Ethan. And I think, in my opinion, he's probably one of the best villains we've seen in the franchise thus far. Like, I think this is the character that they tried to create in Mission Impossible 2, and no fault to the actor in Mission Impossible 2. It just, again, wasn't written as well as this movie was. I mean, from my opinion, top to bottom, this movie was probably the most well written of in the entire franchise up until this point. And again, I think Solomon Lane was a great villain, and the overall story is, like I said in the beginning, like this is where like the stories become a little bit like far more intricate, and you got the twists, the turns, like the unpredictability of it, and it becomes like again a more of a spy movie. Like it has its action scenes, but I think it's also it perfectly blends more of the spy and the action. Like there wasn't many gadgets used in here. They were actually relying on their wit, their teamwork to like succeed in this mission.
Yeah. So having said that, what do you give it out of 10?
Oh man, out of 10. See,
Out of 10.
I think up until now, this is probably my favorite movie of the franchise. Again, top to bottom, there's not much you can find fault. I mean, yeah, we can nitpick all we want, because I mean, nothing's perfect, right?
Yeah.
But again, like I'm like everything about it visually, the cinematography, the way it's shot, the choices the director makes, the blocking just on the opera house scene alone is
Yeah.
amazing. Again, the characters are so well written, so well performed, and you're starting to like really see this team. You get to like continue to follow the same team members throughout multiple movies, and their characters are starting to come into their own. And again, the story just like it's just so well crafted. So I think out of 10, I probably have to give it like a 9.5. I really love this movie.
Nice. Nice.
And again, the
Very
dress
nice.
scene. Rebecca Ferguson wearing the dress.
Yeah, she just adds the element, man.
Slays
She
like
just
pure, like you always like you've been saying femme fatale, but like it was sexy in a like in a almost like not in a lustful way, just
no, like
nothing
it's
like
very like seductive, but it's
exactly.
classy and
Yes,
it's
there you
elegant.
go.
It's like it's the way that it's portrayed.
Yeah,
The
perfect. No, perfect. Like elegant. It's like it's sexy in an elegant and classy way. That was
yeah.
perfectly said.
Well, thank you. But yeah, so on my end, this movie is a culmination of everything that has come before it. It has the intensity and the suspense of 1 and 4. The adventure is present. Alec Baldwin is a great addition as
Yes.
this sort of the way that I looked at it, like a pseudo Kittredge type, which is
Hmm.
needed for this. The stakes are high. This movie is so beautiful to look at. Like I've been saying it throughout this entire video. Like this movie is beautiful. The cinematography is amazing. Rebecca Ferguson shines, and she adds such a fierceness to the franchise. Sean Harris is menacing as Solomon Lane,
Yes.
cold and calculating, and they all managed to do all of this within a 2-hour time frame.
Yeah,
But it feels so much longer than that,
it does.
and it's because the story's there and the script is tight. The dialogue is probably the best so far. Um, this is probably the most realistic of the franchise as well, as far as so far. And there's no MacGuffin in the sense that it's some biological weapon or anything like that. The
Right.
weapon is fear and what
Mhm.
and who can you trust. And this is also like I said, this is a Chris McHugh joint. Like this is his baby.
Yeah.
So it does feel very different from the previous entries, but it still respects the source material and the characters while adding some strong new ones. So out of 10 overall. Having said that, I had initially wrote down one score, but now I'm thinking about changing it again like I did yesterday. Um, so having said that, I think I might have to bump this up to I might have to bump this up to a 9 out
Nice.
of 10. Yeah, because I had it at 8.5. But after talking through it and just the fact that, I wrote like pieces of dialogue in
Yeah.
the notes, like straight from the movie.
Yeah.
And like I said, like as much as I love the first one, like I didn't do that for the first one. I mean, there's certain lines that I really enjoy, but not as much as this one. This one is just like it's a tight script.
Yeah.
It's tight and the
I
dialogue is just
100% agree. Yeah.
yes. So let me update my notes. 9 out of 10. All right. So we've now made it to the end, but we're not done.
No, we're
Last but
not.
not least, it's time to rate.
Is it my turn to go
Mission.
first?
Yep. You have the honors
Oh,
today.
I mean, I feel like it's already a given on the score I've given it, right? So, I mean, we're not even going to like split hairs and waste anybody's time here. Like, I mean, I got to give it, like, it's going in front of Ghost Protocol.
It's
Like,
high praise,
no
man.
brainer. Like, I mean, like, it's up until now my favorite of the franchise. Will it continue to be my favorite of the franchise? Gotta wait and see.
All in
But
good
yeah,
time. So I
no
guess it's
brainer
my
for me.
turn now. So as far as Rogue Nation goes, so having said that I've changed my score, that actually means that this would put it ahead of Mission Impossible, which I
Good.
still rank it as an A. I don't think it's like the perfect movie, like God
Mhm.
tier, but it's up there. I feel like it is on point with the first movie
Nice.
in my eyes because the first movie sets the foundation. This one refines the foundation. This one takes
Yes.
what already exists and it refines it.
Yeah.
And it takes the best aspects of one and the best aspects of four and it puts it into this. So
Yeah.
it's an A still, but I think that it can't believe I'm going to say this. It might be better than the first one.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you gave it a 9, I mean, that's high praise. Mhm.
Yeah, because I don't like doling out
Yeah.
nines too
No,
much.
like
It's got to really move me.
in my how I see a lot of this is like an S tier for me is probably like I think an A tier could be a 9 out of 10. So an S tier is just anything like 9.1 to 10. So you know what I
Okay,
mean?
that's
So some
yeah, that's
something
understandable.
similar like that. Like I mean, we could always add another category where like there's one more above it. And it's just got to be like straight perfect, like S plus.
Yeah,
You see what I mean? But like, and
yeah,
there's probably not many movies I would give an S plus. Like maybe five. And I mean, out of
yeah.
like the thousands of movies I've seen, like
Sh-
yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Yeah, we need you need a bigger list if we were gonna fill up every movie we've ever watched on this bigger computer. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's where we're sitting on our rankings so far. But like Robert said before in the past, we're not done yet. We still got two more to go, and this list could change. It could evolve. But as of right now, this is where we're sitting at. Aside from that, thank y'all so much for taking the time to kick back and join us on the journey of Mission Impossible. Like I said, we're not done yet. Still got some more to go, but definitely, as Robert always says, get down in those comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. We want to hear from y'all. What's your ranking looking like so far? What was your experience? Did you have a similar one like us in the theater with seeing Rogue Nation? If not, like I said, we still want to hear from you. So get in on that comment and we will definitely reply to you. Aside from that, Robert, what else do we got going on the channel?
I do want to add real quick that funny enough, it
Yeah, of
also
course, of
happened when
course.
we watched Kingsman, but that actually happened in the beginning. We had a special thing to Kingsman,
Oh,
but it was in the beginning.
yeah.
So, it was always hit or miss with these special previews, but they were a lot of fun. And I wish, we were able to do more of them. I don't really know what happened to that. But
Yeah. They
yeah,
sort of just stopped doing them.
they
And
did,
then
right?
I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I guess
Right?
we'll just see them on Thursday nights.
Yeah. But no, other than that, we have our first 4 movies for Mission Impossible up on the channel. Feel free to go check those out. We definitely want to hear from y'all on where y'all rank these movies and your experiences. We also have our Avengers Doomsday coverage. We have a video up where we pick who we think Sam will have on his Avengers team, and we kind of go into where possibly that Avengers Doomsday is going to start, how it's going to go. Again, it's all speculation based on what we saw from the Thunderbolts, which we also have a couple of videos on the channel where we go into the movie and the post-credit scene. And we also have a bunch of trailer reactions. We kind of have a wide variety of movies. We got Naked Gun, Weapons, Fantastic Four, like just a straight wide variety for everyone to enjoy.
Couldn't have said it better, Robert. Thank you as always. And thank y'all for watching as well. We'll see you on the next one.